Awesome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Frédéric Harper. I'm from Canada. I was super happy to be here. Actually, first time in Hong Kong. So we're here for Rise. And thanks for taking the time to join us at WeWork for that lunch and learn. So I'm a developer advocate at DigitalOcean, basically, or technical evangelist. Maybe you have heard that term. My job is to basically help developer being successful in different ways. I'm a technical guy. I used to be a software developer full time. I'm part of like the 5% of like engineers that are social and extroverts. So I kind of like speak about technology right now, but I still code. And feel free to use Twitter during the presentation. Some of you are eating, but share stuff on Twitter. I'm F Harper on Twitter, or you can connect with me later. Share the good, the bad, and the ugly stuff that I may talk to you about today. So it's a small presentation. It's really a high-level presentation about scaling in the cloud. And obviously, today was really specific about DigitalOcean. So I'm going to tell you and go through a journey of a startup to see how you can scale in the cloud as a startup using DigitalOcean. So how many of you have a startup idea or working in a startup right now, or plan to maybe at some point create a project or create a company? Okay, how many of you are technical people, like software engineers, developer? No? Okay, so that talk will be a little more for the technical people, but for the non-technical folks around the room, you will kind of like understand the journey. So yeah, so you have an idea, you work on a startup, and let's be honest, like it's taking time. It's not always easy, and sometimes you can go maybe a little bit crazy because like you have your idea, you need money to go to expand, to reach a new market, you need to hire people, you don't have like money coming in right at the beginning. Like it's a lot of work, and we always see those kind of like unicorn story, or what we think about like those overnight story, or that happened like the night before and like, hey, that company is successful. Let's be honest, it does not happen overnight. All the time, it's a lot of work to build those companies, to build those startups. And the thing is that it's a complete journey. So right now, what I want to do with you is take about the next 20, 25 minutes on my case to take you to the journey of a startup. Like how can you go from the idea to being successful, and how can you scale in the cloud when you're doing that? Which, even for the non-technical folks in the room, you're gonna need at some point to have a website, or if you have an app idea, or you have like even some services, you may need technology, will probably need technology. You will have to put something in the cloud, something on the internet. So this is why I'm talking about this today. So first thing, you have that idea. You wake up in the morning, or you're taking a shower and like, oh my God, I am the most brilliant person in the world. I got that idea. I can be successful. I'm going to be the next Facebook or the next Google. Like, this is amazing. And this is great. You have that passion. You found that idea. But the thing is that you need to act fast. What people don't expect and what people don't understand is that when you have that idea, there's probably someone else somewhere in the world that have the same idea as you, or even someone that is working in the same exact thing as you. So yes, we are creative, we're brilliant. There's a lot of people in the world. So there's a lot of people that can be as brilliant as us. So you need to act fast if you want to be successful, if you want to get out of the crowd. But the thing is that you have no money. And if you're lucky enough and you plan your things in advance, you're like, yeah, I had that full-time job, or I was a freelance, or I was successful with another company, and you set money aside. But that money, you need that money to make a living. Like you need to pay the rent, you need to eat food. Ramen is good, but at some point, you may want to eat something else. So you don't have much money. But the thing is that you don't want to compromise on quality, which is the thing. Like you need to find the right balance between quality, but also having like good resources and being able to have something quality, but without spending all the money that you need to like make a living. So first things first, as a startup, when I have that idea, what I probably want to do is at least have a website. I want to have like what I would call my virtual home, a place to send people, even if I don't have much to put there, even if it's just like a couple of sentences with an image to just send people there, or trying to gather email. Maybe I want to gather email for people that would be interested about my startup. So what I will do, I will like, hey, I want a website. So what I will do, we have something called droplets. For those of you that are a little more technical, it's basically virtual machine. So what I do when I want a droplet, I'm already connected to my account right now for the sake of the presentation. And can you see the screen? Yeah. So I'm going to go and create droplet. When I go in that dashboard, I'm going to have a list of different distributions that I can use for my droplet. So it's basically the operating system that I'm installing. I have different pricing, which comes with different power from the services. And I can go as low as $5 per month, which will be good enough for most of your website needs. So as a startup, like spending $5 per month, I think it's a good deal. And there is no surprise, it's $5. If you need more power, if you need more space, you can upgrade your droplet. So we have also different data centers that I can choose. The closest one to Hong Kong is Singapore. So you probably want to choose Singapore depending on which kind of audience you're targeting with your application or your services. And I can click create droplet. But if you're like me, you may have been a little bit lazy, or you want to spend time on other stuff that are more important. Like the website is great, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, do I really want to configure everything and anything? Maybe I just need a WordPress website. I'm a huge fan of WordPress. So what I can do, we have something called the marketplace, which are basically one-click install. So I can go there and I can say like, hey, let's search for like, let's install WordPress. So usually when you want to install WordPress, what are you gonna do? You install a server with Linux, you're gonna install MySQL, you're gonna install Apache, you're gonna need to like download the source of WordPress, install this on your server. So right now what I can do, I can just select WordPress, choose the same configuration, and click create. That takes less than 5 minutes, like 2 to 5 minutes to create the droplet. And the droplet is my virtual machine. And because I'm using the marketplace, that will install everything for me. So in less than 5 minutes for $5 per month, what I'm gonna have, and I'm gonna show you ones that are already created for the sake of the presentation right now. I have my droplet here, and I just can copy the IP. Obviously you can put your own website, your own domain name, so that's gonna be more sexier than having like a bunch of number to give to potential investor or customers. You can either use your own DNS server or use our DNS service that we are providing on the dashboard, which is free. So this is basically what you get when you install WordPress by yourself. You get the first screen where you're like, hey, I'm gonna choose English or like Cantonese. I'm gonna configure my WordPress site, and I have a WordPress installation that I did in. If everything goes wrong for different reasons, like your cat goes on the keyboard, you drop your coffee, 15 minutes, you have a WordPress installation, you have your website. So that is amazing because it's easy, it's fast, and it's inexpensive. But this is the first step. You cannot build, or maybe you can, but I don't think you can build a business just with a WordPress website. If you have an app idea, if you have something a little more complicated you want to do, you probably want to move to the next step. So now you got your idea, you decided to go full in. I'm like, yes, it's nice. I build a startup, I go in, I have my idea, I'm gonna be successful, let's do this. You have your idea. For those of you that are a technical founder, you're like, yeah, maybe I should find someone who is non-technical. That could be my CEO. So now you talk to your CEO is like, yes, to solve the idea, like I think that would be nice to make a video and having like those one-pagers that we can like send to potential customers, and that non-technical founder is like creating all those like images and video and PDF that you want to share with people, which is nice. You can just put them on your website, but it's a good video, it's a huge video, like it's a beautiful video, it's nice, it's a good way to show the quality of your potential work or the potential application, but it's still like a 30 megabytes video, which is not that huge today, but you know, not everybody got a fast internet connection. And like if you're based in Hong Kong and you put your VM in Hong Kong, but you have customers in the States, there's still a little bit of latency. And I don't know for you, but like I cannot wait on the internet anymore. Like sometimes I go on a website, I create an account, and they're like, hey, we're sending you an email to verify that you're real. And I go on Gmail and I refresh. I'm like, what's happening? The system is down. It's not working. I didn't receive the email. Like that service is not good. and actually like 30 seconds after I received the email. But for me, it was like, what the hell? Like, it's too long. People don't want to wait. We live in a society where everything needs to be right now. So what you want to do is the same thing. Again, you don't have that much money, but you want to give the best to your potential customers, but also at that time, you probably want to start at some point to raise some money or talk to some investors. So you want to be sure that the first impression that people will have of you will be just amazing. So what you can do, obviously you can put your assets on the VM. That's going to be accessible. That's going to be maybe fast enough for most of the cases. But maybe what you want to do is use something that we call spaces. There are object storage. But there's object storage that you may have heard in other cloud provider. It's the same thing. Let's be honest, object storage is not the most sexiest thing out there. But what I love with the DO spaces that we have, I can create a spaces here. I will say where I want that spaces to be. And what is like the magic thing for me is the integrated CDN with a space. A CDN is a content delivery network, which means that now my video, I will probably put my video in Singapore data center, but when I will create this, I will say, yes, I want to use a CDN. I will give it a name like WeWork CDN or spaces, and I will say create spaces. What's going to happen is that the CDN you will put your assets, usually static assets like images, video, even your JavaScript file or CSS file, whatever that is, like not generated on the fly, you put this on your spaces. And because you said like, yes, I want the CDN, which is free with the spaces, like you don't pay an additional amount of money for the CDN within the spaces. You can not use it if you don't want to, but if you use it, it's the same price. Now what's going to happen? If I'm in Hong Kong, I will receive the file from the Hong Kong data center. If I'm in New York, I will receive the New York one. If I'm in Montreal, we don't have data center in Montreal in Canada, but we have one in Toronto, so I will receive them from Toronto. So sometimes it may not be the end of the world. Most of the time I would say it's worth it to have CDN and deliver the content from the closest data centers that your cloud provider has. So that would be a next step, and it's not that expensive to have this, and you only need one actually, depending at that point. So now, it's fine. You dealt with the CEO. You're like, hey, are you happy now? You have your videos working well. Like now, let me focus on the real stuff. Let me focus on our project. We need something to demo. We need to work on MVP. So now you're thinking about a structure, the architecture, like which technology I'm going to use and how we should architecture. What are you going to do with the database? And are we using like web services? Is it a mobile application or no? Like there's a lot of things to think about. But at the beginning, you cannot do everything. You're just like, hey, I need, again, to focus on the most important, which for me, as a developer, as a technical person, the most value I can bring to my startup is the code, is focusing on what I know best, is coding, is creating those features, is fixing bugs. So one of the things I won't be able to not use is a database. You will need a database no matter what. Either because you have some backend code, even like your mobile application need to back up some data or sync some data. You're gonna have like some like services, you're gonna create an API, like there's different things you can do, but at some point, your business is probably based on syncing, getting, saving some data in any ways. Either it's a small part of the business because you just need someone to log into your customer page, or it's really based on your business at all. Like your business is data driven, it's based on the data. So there is the database. And I don't know for you, for me as a developer, I love to write SQL queries. I love to write my queries, create database. I really love that for whatever reason. I think I can consider myself as a data geek. I love data. And for me, it's nice because you can have really good code. If you don't have a database to support that, most of the time that won't do something nice. But the thing is that I have the database. I create the queries, I create the table, I create the structure. But I don't want to manage the database. I don't want to update my database engine. I don't want to be sure that everything is secure. Like, I can do it. I'm technical. I can read stuff. I can learn. I probably know a couple of those things, but I am better than some like DevOps expert or database people that are managing databases. Probably not. Let's be honest. I have a pretty good ego, but for that, I'm like, no. Like, there's people that are better than me to do that. So I'm not going to show you a demo about that. My colleague Saurabh will show you a more in-depth demo of our database offer. But what we have is a database as a service, which is basically you don't have to care about the database. Just use it and make what you are good at, creating your product. So that would be the next step. What we have right now is PostgreSQL, which is basically most of the time the standard database you're going to use, but we will come really soon with MySQL and Redis. So MySQL is also super popular. But if you have other database need, create a VM, make it happen. But with the DBaaS offer, the database as a service offer, you don't have to manage the database. You just have to do what you do best, which is working on your application. So now, hey, you got that MVP. You create the, MVP, like that small part of the application which can prove to people that, hey, you go from idea to something a little more serious, and it may not be the full scale of what you want to do, but it's good enough to say like, hey, now we reach a point where if we want to be successful, we need to scale. And most of the time that means talking to VC. So you need to go talk to VC. You need to go talk to people that will help you raise money, get money, so you can scale, you can hire more people, or you can invest to scale your infrastructure in the cloud too. Or you may go to an incubator, an accelerator, or you may even just do things by yourself. But at some point, no matter what you do, if you want to scale, if you want to reach the next level, we live in a life where we need money. So to do that, you will raise money, you talk to VC, you're starting to acquire some users. And the thing is that most startups at the beginning, they're not even charging for their product. They're just like, we want people using your thing. And we may figure it out a little more after what's going to be the paid product, or you get a free trial because we're in beta version or like early access. But still, you're starting to get those users, which means that you're starting to get more traction to your application, which means more resources are used. So at that time, you're like, hey, that was nice, the $5 per month for my WordPress website, but now that may be good enough, but that may not be good enough. So you were like, hey, we should scale. There is usually, when we talk about the cloud, you scales what we call vertically, so you can scale like that $5 VM droplet that I had before. I can go back to my droplet, should have been created by now. And yeah, so I can go there and I can say, yay, I'm gonna resize my droplet to get something better. So, or not better, but something more powerful if I need more space. If I need more space, I can even add a volume, which is basically adding storage to your droplet. But I can also say like, yeah, now, because my application is a little more complex, I need a little more horsepower, I can say like, yeah, now I want to scale to this one at $10, which is like, it doubled the memory usage, I double also the data transfer that I can use. And I can just say like, hey, I'm gonna resize this. So right now I won't show you because I need to, when you resize those droplets, you need to turn them off, resize, turn them on. It's a process that is pretty quick, so I can even show you, but actually it's pretty quick. So that would be scaling vertically. So you would take your droplet, you would make it bigger. But one of the good practice also is not to put everything in the same egg, like not putting all the eggs in the same basket or something like that. Anyhow, you understand what I mean. So the other thing is that you can also scale horizontally. So one of the things, like now I have one droplet. But what I can do, I can create as many droplets as I want. Obviously, the costs come with the fact that you create more droplets. But a good practice would be, hey, I have my droplet for my website, I have a droplet for my front end, I have a droplet for my back end, I have a droplet for my API, trying to separate things. So things are not isolated, and things are actually isolated depending on what they do. So you can also scale horizontally, having multiple droplets. And after that, to manage that, it's starting to be complicated too, because there's another way for you to scale. It's not just about having droplets that do specific things, but you can also have many droplets or VM that does the same thing. So I can have like 4, 5, 2 droplets that actually does the same thing, because I want to be sure that I'm going to balance the load that I need on my application. So what I can do, I can say, create a load balancer. And the load balancer, what's going to happen if I create that? So again, I decided which data center. For data offering, you need to have your droplets in the same data center as the load balancer. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to say, OK, those are some rules. Advanced setting, I can choose the algorithm. Most of the time, you don't even want to touch that unless you really know what you want to do with the load balancer. And I can say, OK, now I want to create, pass through, and I want to create a load balancer. And once my load balancer will be created, which is again about 5 minutes, which for me I think is like, it's amazing. It's maybe too long for a presentation, but like 5 minutes, I create like a virtual computer somewhere. It's amazing. So I created my droplet here. What I did, I had my different droplet here, and actually my load balancer, I will tell my load balancer once it's created. So it's already created. I don't have another load balancer that I can show you, so it's creating right now. But once it's done, I'm going to be able to select the droplet that I want the load balancer to manage. So what's going to happen is that when someone's going to hit my website, my web application, load balancer will basically, really high-level stuff, will basically like, oh, that droplet have like is working too hard right now. Let's send the person to the other droplet. And you can do that without having like the complex knowledge of like doing those calculations and knowing like what's happening with those droplets. So it's a services we have. It's a load balancing as a service that we have. So that would be the next step in your journey. And again, you're scaling stuff. But now, congratulations, you raise money. Or you have enough paid users to starting to grow your team. And this is nice because now you're going to be the next unicorn. Like, you're going to be the next Facebook or the next Google, or maybe not. But I don't want to, like, it's your passion, it's your idea. I believe in you. I think you can make it. So you're going to be the next Facebook, the next, maybe not Facebook, like the next nice company. But thing is that, like, it's going crazy now. Because now you need to scale. You need to hire people. You need to get more people in the product. You need to get people probably on the marketing. Depending on like what you're working on. So things are just like getting on fire and like, oh my God, I need to scale stuff. Again, I need to focus on what's the most important. So before going crazy and like swearing how to work with my product or whatever, like maybe I need to hire a DevOps person to manage my cloud infrastructure, which you don't want to. Actually, maybe you want to at some point. But right now, again, let's focus on what's most important. Let's use my money on like having probably more developers. So there is one thing for the technical folks that you may have heard that are like the words, everybody's talking about this, is Kubernetes, which is an interesting technology that may or may not solve your issue, that may help you, that will probably help you at that point to manage the load balancing, the different VMs, your cloud infrastructure more easily. So again, my partner Saurabh will go in a little more deeper demo with Kubernetes. But at that point, things are working, you're getting users, you're successful. And again, congrats. I know you were able to be successful. I believed in you, I saw you, and like those people will be successful. And this is where you are right now. You're gonna be successful. So everything I've shown you, those are part of the offering we have. And I see them as building blocks in the sense that like what I shown you was like, oh my God, life is good. This is the perfect journey of a startup. Does not happen all the time like this. So use whatever makes sense, put them together, remove a part. 1 month you have less money or you don't need like that many VM, remove part of it, add some. This is what cloud infrastructure are for. And let's be honest here, everything I've shown you, you can do it with any cloud provider. You can do this with AWS, you can do this with Google, you can do this with Microsoft Azure. But why I'm talking to you about this, and I'm always transparent about those things, what we believe is the difference we have, we make things easier. So everything you've seen right now, you're gonna see later. I can always do this with the dashboard. I did this with the mouse, some click. That was easy. It's not because I work radio, but I love the interface. Like it's simple, it's clean. It's not like I don't go in a place where I have like 10,000 features. So our way of doing things is that we do things very well, but we make it simple. But the thing is that for those of you that are more technical and that want to play a little more, easy doesn't mean that it lacks feature. Like there's a lot more things you can do. And I'm a command line type of guy. So we have a CLI, we have an API. I can do things on my computer my own way. I don't have to use the browser. For me, browser is slow. I need to click with the mouse, and I'm lazy. I prefer to type. Way easier, way quicker. So I have a CLI. For the people that I didn't treat well during that talk, like the non-technical people, I was joking, I still love you. But sometimes, you know, it's a little bit annoying to work with you. But yeah, anyhow, we also have great dashboard. We have reporting about what's happening with your resources. Do you have like a lot of people that are like going on your website? Like you have those reports, which is also good for technical people, developers, because you know, like does my VM is working well? Is my website is like having issues right now? And the last thing where I think we have a big difference is the pricing is super transparent. So every part I told you today, there's a specific amount of money per month. Droplet, $5 per month. This is the one you want. You want the one at $40? $40 per month. No surprise. If you go to other cloud providers, you need a calculator to understand what's the pricing, which may be good in some cases, but I really think that is something real nice because as a startup, you don't want to have a surprise at the end of the month because you don't even know if you're gonna have enough money to buy some ramens at the end of the month. So do you want to know like how much you're gonna pay for your cloud? Sometimes that happens. So thanks for your time. And I think I talked too much. Okay. Thanks.